Hello and welcome to the third episode of Unravel with Isha. Today we have Sukhnidh Kaur, who is a 20-year-old youth advocate currently working with gifted students. She loves working with kids and is trying to figure out how we can make school a better experience through inclusivity, empathy, and holistic development. In this episode, we talk about hustle culture, our experiences with the Indian education system, and our hope for the kids of our country. Now on to the podcast. So Sukhnidh, how was your experience as a student? How were you in school and what was school for you?
My experience in school was fairly tumultuous, and I think it's because I was not nurtured and my peers were not nurtured effectively as children should be nurtured because of the very problematic education system, which is why I want to talk about it today and which is why I want to work in it for the next few years. I wanted to do a lot of things and I didn't want to do a lot of things, and I never had a choice and no one around me ever had a choice, and this lack of autonomy kind of followed us throughout our lives and continues to follow us, which is a problem.
And how do you think this affected you, and how do you think this affects students or young kids who are confused to say the least at that point of life? What do you think the impact is?
So I think the impact, first of all, is far more than we realize it is. Whether it's in terms of mental health or in terms of how we navigate academic life or even life beyond academia, in every little aspect. Your psychosocial development, how you perceive yourself, your own identity. And it's rooted in like the very first things we do in the education system, which is we kind of segregate ourselves, or the authorities segregate students into either you're the arts kind or the science kind or the oh my god, commerce kind. and no one questions why. Just because it's an age-old kind of thing we've been doing, no one asks, are we all really so like, do we all have singular potentials? Just because someone can do science, does it mean that they cannot understand, the nuances of humanities? Or if someone's good at social sciences, they don't understand math. That's not true, but we've been led to believe that it's true. And that's a big problem, because you're denying students the joy of learning. And we kind of silo-ize education. And we say, you do this, and you do this, and you do this, you do this. And we ask students to make these decisions in 10th grade. God, what decisions were you capable of making in 10th grade?
Think about that for yourself.
Can't think of a single one. And why do we do this? Why do we create this dichotomy? It's not for the benefit of the children as much as, they try to convince you that it is. We segregate them because we want to make them prototypes of human capital, and we want to kind of put them into one stream so that they can work at their prime industrial efficiency, in the workforce, and be, labor and human capital and not human. And that's, sure, it sustained a very large system, a superstructure for a long time, but I don't think it can go on like that anymore, and we need some sort of radical intervention to tackle this.
And education, the main idea of education is to maximize a child's potential.
Absolutely.
Help a child realize that he or she does have a lot of potential and can move mountains if necessary. And putting children into molds or forcing children to pick molds that they then will be forced to fit into basically rids the idea of maximizing human potential.
Absolutely. And it's, it's just, as you said earlier today, a theory that it's to do with maximizing potential, but it's really not. It's to kind of make you the perfect, as I said, prototype for that one job interview and that one university and that one so on and so on and so forth. That's not potential. Most of our children, including perhaps you and I, grow up never even knowing that we have the option to find our potentials, that we have potentials at all. And everybody does. I don't mean to sound idealistic. It's
No.
sad. It's sad that this is considered
Humans
idealistic.
have potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are denying our children the kind of freedom and the joy to discover it. And I can tell you that you're going to have more efficient members in the workforce when they actually like what they're doing, and you're not going to have any dearth of doctors or engineers then. But it's just, this idea is so hard to grasp that we're stuck. We're stuck with this dated system and dated syllabi, and we're going nowhere with it.
Yeah, and do you think don't you think it's really weird that we're putting kids into molds, we're putting children into molds, and basically limiting their potential, yet encouraging them to push and to push and to push till the point that they can't within the mold, though. Like, even as a child, we weren't explicitly told that this is what we are doing to you, but it was evident through the conversations that we had with our teachers or what our teachers encouraged us to do, the way we were told to study, what we were told to study. How do you think this affects?
So again, this is, I don't know, maybe a radical idea that's going to be shunned and maybe even laughed at. But I think we need to respect children more, and we need to respect their autonomy more. And we need to sit down and start having conversations with our kids, with our young students, and ask them, what is it that drives you? And when you talk about guiding students, they might not know, oh my god, I want to be like a neurosurgeon when I grow up, even if that is going to be their final kind of aim or whatever. But they might have potential, and they might have aptitude that is kind of just brimming, and it's inside them, and that's what they need guidance for. They don't need to be told that, oh, did you say neurosurgeon? Neurosurgeon means brain means body means doctor, go become a doctor.
Yeah. Also, just another question that I had. We live in a culture where we've romanticized certainty, where we've romanticized like a concrete outcome, and neurosurgery or any other profession is linked to certainty because it doesn't give you the space to move beyond and think. And do you think by like encouraging kids to pick a profession and not a skill that they want to develop and nurture, do you think we are pushing kids to again get into the mold of certainty? And
Absolutely. And again, I'm using a personal anecdote here, but I didn't know until I was embarrassingly old that you could opt for science and at the end of it not become a doctor. And I don't blame little me for that. Little me was a kid and extremely susceptible to any sort of influence that was coming my way, any sort of information that was coming my way. But yeah, as I said, we limit these children and we limit the choices that they can make, and then they grow up with terrible self-esteem, terrible unrealized, unrecognized mental health issues. And I think the worst part, and this is something that hurts to think about, is that they never consider that self-fulfillment or self-actualization, which is a basic tenet of like happiness and balance, is they don't think it's an option. We're told time and again that, oh, that's just idealistic, and that's these are things that are for rich people and privileged people and this and that. But every single person deserves to be self-actualized, and when you perpetuate this idea that all of this is nonsense and you need to kind of like work hard your entire life and be miserable in a 9-to-5 office job because that's just that's
basically hustle culture, right?
Hustle culture. That's just what people do. You're playing into that system that hurts you. You're
Yeah.
pandering to it. That's a problem, and I don't want the next generation to pander to it. I've spoken about hustle culture before, and I don't want to assure the system's perpetuity anymore, because it starts exploiting children from such a young age, if you think about it. So like tiny babies, and you're kind of, telling them, beta finance mein job karna hai, because that's glory, that's success.
That's where the moolah is.
That's where the moolah is. But why? Why are we? What is success, and why are you chasing success? What does success mean to you? If I was to ask you, what does success mean to you?
To me, I think for me personally, success means being very, very comfortable with who I am as a person, because my childhood, my education, the school that I went to, did try and place a mold in front of me of what success should mean to me, and that was money, kids, marriage.
Yeah, linear trajectory.
Yeah, a very, very linear trajectory, which I did not want to follow at that point of time, and perhaps do not want to follow right now.
Again, see,
but
it's again to do with how we don't get to make our choices. We don't realize making a choice is a choice, because again, that milestone thing, that you need to go to like a great university, and or you're falling short somewhere, or there's something wrong with you, or you're just average. Why are these things bad things? Who told you that yourself, as you are right now, is average? It baffles me. Like, I'm literally speechless. And yeah,
that makes sense. But what I was thinking about right now is, I think, what as children and even as adults and even as teenagers, and I think everybody who exists in this world right now has been taught to look forward to something, or have something to look forward to, otherwise question your existence. And I think, as like, I'll talk for myself. I'm on a gap year. I've finished an internship. I'm about to go to college, and I have 4 months in my hand with nothing to do. Although I have something to look forward to, if I did not have that in my life right now, I would be termed to have an existential crisis, which I'm not saying I don't anyways. But when you do not have something to look forward to, or you're in a place where you are not comfortable with not having something to look forward to, you begin to question everything that you do.
Yeah, exactly. Again, this is something that is one of my, you can say, main beliefs about hustle culture. And it's that for you to have an intrinsically fulfilled self is not an option anymore. And that to be, you have to prove the right to be by employing all of your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, even resources into the system, and not yourself. And everything you do has to be, for it. And sure, we have our exceptions, people who realize what they love and they pursue it and they do well, but that's not your average person. That's probably not you, and it's not me. Because we've been kind of conditioned by the system for so long. And as I again wrote about just yesterday, the fetishization of the hustle and of success, you romanticize it and you glorify it, and you make it out to be, the best thing a man or a woman can be, which is a hustler. And, you're on
to make best use of the 24 hours.
Yeah, and you're grinding.
Filling it with like small activities.
Yeah, why?
Which again gives you something to look forward to.
Exactly.
Be it like attending, for maybe a kid, it's like attending a math class at 4 and then attending a science class at 7, or having dinner at 8. It can be as simple as that, but the day is still filled with...
Dare you be okay with yourself? And I get it. You need to work hard on, what you like and blah, 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 blah. But you're not just allowed to be okay with where you are right now. You must. Because, our lives are the tiniest little things, like infinitesimal, and you want to